Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein, and I will be your presenter today. Today, we are talking about advancing school grades in Church Windows membership. Typically, advancing groups and classes, which again, we're going to talk about tomorrow, that has to do with Sunday school classes or specific groups and classes that you have created in the database, okay? So if we go into people and we just look at the first record that pops up here, you're going to see there's two different tabs here, okay? So this groups and classes tab, if we look for, actually let's find somebody a little bit better who has a couple more groups. Oh, here we go. This is a good person. Jen. So you can see Jen is in several different groups and classes. I can expand this and make it a little bit wider. But the thing to keep in mind with advancing groups and classes, which again we're talking about tomorrow, is that you're going to go in and you're going to take different Sunday school classes and you're going to move people up if you need to. Typically that's Sunday school. Okay, so typically that is your first grade Sunday school kids are going to go to your second grade. Your second grade Sunday kids are going to go to your third. Your third grade is going to go to your fourth, and so forth. That is very different from advancing school grade. So now if we go back to Jen's record here, everybody in Church Windows is going to have this field right here. It's called school grade. Let me get my little highlighter out so I can show you. Right here, the school grade. That is going to be where, or what I should say, that we're talking about today. So school grade is what we're covering today. That specifically has to do with anybody that either has high school graduate, which means they've been through school, or that they are in a particular school grade here. The system is going to come with kindergarten through high school graduate. Some people have gone in and they have set up preschool classes, specifically churches that I talk to that have their own preschool within the building. If that's the case, you might have some more codes in here that could have been created over the years by using the little pencil, but for the most part, you are going to have kindergarten through high school graduate. Now, you could have college graduate, you could have I don't know, master's, bachelor's. You could be very fancy in how many different grades you're wanting to keep track of. I've seen it before, but I would say mostly people are going to stick with the kindergarten through high school graduate. So today we are specifically talking about advancing this school grade field, okay? All right, so let's close out of here, and we are going to go up to special functions up at the top, and we are going to click on advanced grade. This is super simple, very straightforward. We're probably going to be done here pretty quick unless there's a bunch of questions. But the first time you open this screen, there's a couple things I want you to make note of. There is going to be this date last advanced and an advanced by field. This field is going to tell you the last time someone came in here and advanced these grades. Okay? Important to look at that to make sure you aren't advancing. Say maybe Sally already did it and you're coming in and wanting to advance it as well, but you don't need to because it's already been done for this year. So keep in mind you're checking that date for the last advancement so you don't go in and advance kids and bump them up 2 years instead of just moving them forward the 1 year for the school year. Okay? Advanced by, that's going to say the username or the person that was logged in that did the advancement last. Okay, so just double check your date. Make sure you're not doing it twice within the same year. That's going to throw off your grade. Okay? Next section you want to pay attention to is down here. You need to make sure you are arranging your grades in the order of youngest grade all the way down to the bottom of the oldest grade. Okay? Typically, when you come in here, these grades are going to be in order. But I always want you to come in and make sure, because if we look here, we see kindergarten, second grade, first grade. That's not the right order. I don't want my second graders going back to first grade. So we need to switch this order. Simply highlight the line you're wanting to switch, use the big chunky arrow to move it down. So now we have kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, and then high school graduate. Keep in mind, if you have anything after high school, you're going to have different lines down here that people will advance to. Up here at the top, you could have different preschool grades that would be listed down here as well. So make sure everything is in the correct advancement order from youngest to oldest. All right. You also have the option over here to not advance people. If you have a grade for whatever reason, or a school grade for whatever reason that you don't want to advance, you can check this box, and that grade will not be touched in the advancement process. Typically, that's not something you're going to need, but depending on your situation, depending on the setup that you use at your church, you might possibly have a grade there that you don't want to move people out of. Maybe you have that master's group, or maybe you have the doctorate group, or whatever it might be. You might not want to move people up. If that's the case, you have this do not advance option. Okay? Once all of your grades are in the proper order and everything is set up the way you want it to, you're going to hit Save Changes. Okay? Once the Save button is activated, it'll gray out, which means you're currently saved. Then you come up here to the top left and you're going to do Advanced Grades. Okay? Something else that just popped into my head I should have said earlier. Anytime you go into your database and you are making a massive change to your data, so you're going to, depending on how many kids you have in school grades, you're going to be making a massive change to your database at one time. Always, always a good idea to make a backup first, okay? So I'll show you that once we're done, but on that opening screen of Church Windows, you click on Administration, you go to Backup Data, put it on your desktop, ideally put it on a flash drive. That is going to be the best way to keep your data safe at this point. In case something happens, in case you make a mistake, in case you double advance people, whatever it might be, because you're making a massive change to the database, having that backup prior to doing things like that, for me as a technician is a huge peace of mind, and it takes 2 minutes. So always make a backup first, okay? All right, my grades are in order. I've saved this screen. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to hit Advanced Grades, and it's going to give me a note. This will move students from the first advancing grade to the grade below it, which we're good with that because we went from youngest to oldest. The process will affect all grades not marked do not advance. That's fine. We don't have anyone checked do not advance. The last grade in the list will not advance further. Okay, so that's going to tell us anyone in high school graduate, since it's the last in the list, they're staying in high school graduate. They are not advancing, but still our 12th graders are going down to our high school graduate field. Okay, all that message is saying. So I'm going to say okay, and it's going to tell me school grades have been advanced. That's how easy it is to do this. I'll say okay. You can see my last date advanced has now changed to today. And I'm logged in as a universal login because this is training data, but typically it would say like Rachel Klein or something like that right here. Okay? That's how easy it is. Now that it's done, we just close out, and now all of our school grade fields have shifted up 1. Okay? Easy peasy. All right, that is everything that I wanted to cover with you guys today. If you have any questions, please feel free to type that in. I'm happy to go over anything with you that has to do with advancing the school grades. Otherwise, we're talking about groups and classes tomorrow. So if you haven't registered for that event, make sure you do that, and then we'll talk about the advancing groups. All right, Teresa's saying, how do you catch up years in case it has not been done annually? That is a great question. So Teresa, if we go back in here to advanced grade, the program is going to let me do this advanced again. So let's say I'm actually, whoops, another year behind. I was 2 years behind. I can come in here and do advanced grades again. It's going to give me a warning, but it's going to let me continue through it. So it's going to tell me that grades were last advanced. The recommended time between advancing is at least 9 months. Do you want to continue anyways? And I can say yes to this, and that will then bump them up another year. Okay, so you can definitely catch up if you need to. Make a backup first, but then, yeah, you can advance them as many times as you need to get caught up. All right, Annie says, if you don't use preschools as a category when the child is old enough for kindergarten, when you do an advance, will it pop them into kindergarten or do you have to enter them manually? Awesome, awesome question. So the answer to that, or the question, let me rephrase it, is how do you get kids into that kindergarten class to start with the school grade? Great question. To do that, you're going to have to go to each record and enter in their school grade of kindergarten manually. There's no way for the software to say, oh, I see these kids are 5 or 6 or whatever the age is. I need to get them all into kindergarten. Software is not going to do that for you. You're going to have to go to each record, come into the school grade field, and select kindergarten, and then save it. That's how you get those kids into that first or that lowest level of kindergarten. Same's done if you have preschool. If you have preschool kids, you need to pop a couple kids into preschool to start with. You're going to go to their school grade field and choose their preschool. You have new families that are joining. They just went through your new member class. They joined your church. You will have to manually go in and put in the school grades for those kiddos as well. Great question. Cheryl, you're welcome. Thanks for coming. All right. I'm not seeing any more questions. Like I said, it's just, yeah, you're welcome. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. The biggest thing is just making a backup, making sure you're not double advancing people if you don't need to, and then making sure that your grades are set up in the correct order. Once you have that, it's just a click of a button and it updates all of your school grades for you. Make sure, too, when you make a backup, on this opening screen of Church Windows, Administration, Backup Data, choose where you would like the backup to save, and then just hit Begin Backup, and that goes through, backs up all your data. Anytime you make a big change to the database, whether it's a mass edit, advancing school grades, groups, classes, make a backup. It saves you 2 minutes time, and it could save you a lot of work if you accidentally goof something up. Okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the event for everybody. Like I said, I got to edit this tomorrow once I'm at my desk at work, and then I'll get it up on the website tomorrow. And I hope you join us for our event tomorrow where we talk about advancing groups and classes. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.